Back in the mid-1980s, I was a young sergeant assigned to second shift patrol, and I was driving down Palmer Drive, and at that time Palmer Drive was just a narrow 2-lane asphalt road, really not in very good condition. It had no curb, no gutter, and just gravel. Had gravel shoulders, and I saw a car suspiciously parked on the shoulder, and I saw a lone male standing outside the car, just gazing off into the horizon, looking over the desolate area, hands on his hips, and kind of weaving back and forth. And it didn't look right. It looked to me to be suspicious. I had concerns of perhaps drug or alcohol use. And I turned the squad around and pulled up behind the car and exited and introduced myself. And I learned it was Dr. Yahr. And Dr. Yahr started to describe for me the vision and the dream that he had for this property. So for the next 10 minutes, the two of us both now stood there, I guess acting suspiciously based upon my own account, and looked off into the desolate area as he explained his dream and his vision for this area. Dr. Yahr, I can tell you everything you told me on that day many, many years ago has come true, and you've built just a beautiful area here, and we're a better community because of you. Thanks, Doctor.
Hi, my name is Mitch Pelsue. I was partners with Dr. Bob Yahr for a number of years. I'm sorry that I can't be there tonight to help you celebrate this Founders Dinner, but I did want to share with you a story from 1987. It was February 1987 that Bob and I had seen our patients for the morning, and it was going to be about lunch hour, and he says, Mitch, I want to show you something. So he brought me down here, which of course at that time was not Rotary Gardens, but it was the BMX track. It was this building here that had a lot of barbed wire and barrels and just a lot of brush around. And he said, Mitch, I'd like to turn this into a botanical garden. And he said, over here we're going to have the Japanese garden, over here we're going to have the sunken garden, over here we're going to have the Italian garden, well, whatever. And I said, oh, okay, Bob, I'm freezing, I'm getting cold. And I said, great. And Bob, you had the vision, and I'd like to, you've always been a person of vision. Thank you for what you brought to the city of Janesville, the state of Wisconsin, everybody who visits Rotary Gardens. And thank you again, and congratulations.
One of the first times I interviewed Dr. Yahr, we sat at a picnic table under the shade tree next to the BMX bike track. After Dr. Yahr shared his vision of Rotary Gardens, I asked him, how do you sleep at night with all these ideas running through your head? He said it would take patience, but he also knew it would take a great deal of time, money, and effort. But with a quiet confidence, Dr. Yahr saw the potential of what Rotary Gardens could become. He knew it would become a great asset to this community, and it has. Today, Rotary Gardens is Rock County's #1 tourist attraction. Congratulations, Dr. Yahr, on the 25th anniversary of Rotary Gardens. Your patience, your persistence, your organization, and enthusiasm paid off.
Hello, Bob. I'm very happy to be a part of this salute to you, because our relationship with the garden started really 28 years ago, and that's 3 years before the garden actually opened. At that time we were neighbors on Tradition Lane, and you were not having total luck with either the Rotary clubs or the city of Janesville. And when you got too frustrated, you would come and call me, and we would go up into your basement and play pool and drink scotch. And I don't know whether it was the pool or the scotch, but slowly everything came in place. And I think one of the little known real stories about you and the garden has to do with Lab Safety Supply and their new building that they were just starting to build. And we had no dirt down here on the quarry site. And lo and behold, we got dedicated trucks, and for almost 3 months we brought 800 truckloads of dirt down so you could have your garden. and it was a wonderful gift from the Hedbergs when they said, we'll let you come in and take every bit of dirt, which they could have sold, and bring it down to make the garden. And I love this fountain that's here. It's dedicated to my wife Ruth, and it was put in here by my family and also the Russo family. And the garden has been just a real part of my life, as it is with yours. And I wish you all the luck and good health and wealth in your future. But just don't try and make another garden until you have somebody to give you scotch when you get into trouble. All right. Good luck to you, Bob.
Hi, I'm Leslie, and this is my husband, Whitey, the Rotarian. And he's the reason I first came down to Rotary Gardens. Well, it wasn't Rotary Gardens. It was kind of a city dumping area on Arbor Day in 1988. And while we were down here cleaning up, I saw Dr. Yahr with his camera taking pictures, and I thought he was taking pictures of the Rotarians doing a service job. And come to find out that I was really here for the conception of the gardens. When Bob got his idea that this would make a wonderful botanical gardens. And I'm so proud the fact that I've hung in there for, well, actually 26 years if I start from conception, right? And I'm really happy to be part of it. Thanks so much, Bob, for all your ideas.
I guess my first memory of cleaning up down here was when we were cutting up trees that had fallen in the pond. And it was Gil Cedar, and I can't remember how many different Rotary, but I know both Gil Cedar and I ended up in the pond.
You know, Maury, back in January of 1990, we came here for an interview. And part of that interview was touring the community and just seeing what this community had to offer. And we were told about Bob Yahr's dream. And we drove by on Palmer Drive. And all we could see was a mud hole. And I thought to myself then, I didn't say it out loud, that guy's crazy. They can't have a botanical garden in this spot. I was wrong.
You know, Gary, I've known Bob Yahr for pretty close to 50 years. Of course, he was an orthodontist in town, and my 5 kids went to him. But when I got to know Bob, I was still working for General Motors. And about a year or so after he started, about early 1990s, he came over to my office one day, and I was in charge of the maintenance and plant engineering. And I had all the skilled trades working for me, the carpenters, the painters, the electricians, the pipe fitters. He came to my office and he says, hey, he says, I need some of your people to help me build this old building up here into a Rath building. I said, we can't do that. And he said, well, why not? And I said, well, it's against GM policy. I can't do that, can't do that. Well, come on, let's change the policy then. That's the way he was. He thought he could just change everything. Couldn't do it. But luckily, shortly thereafter, GM came out what was called a Jobs Bank program, where they let extra people, instead of laying them off, they let them go into the community and do some work. So we got Bob about 6 or 8 people, and they worked here for just about a year, and as a result, we ended up with the Rath building.
That's pretty neat.
That's real good.
Yeah, well, he was pretty persistent.
Yes, he was.
When I served as interim here, I heard from Bob a lot, but his dream didn't die there. After we got going, he still had dreams of different parts of the garden. And about the only place we had left was the North Point and the children's area, what's now the children's garden. And you know, those wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Bob. So he really put his heart and soul into this for a good portion of his life.
You know, you talk about Bob being a dreamer, and he always had all kinds of ideas, the last few years he would winter in Arizona. And he still always thought about Rotary Gardens. In fact, when he went to bed, he had a pad of paper and a pencil by his bed. So when he had a dream or woke up in the middle of the night, he would scratch something down on that paper. And in the morning he'd get up and he would call He'd call Mark Dwyer, he'd call the director, he'd call me, and he'd say, "Hey, I got an idea. Let's get something going." And you want to know something? Most of those ideas were pretty good. Some of them were pretty stupid, but most of them were pretty good. And if we didn't get it done by the time he came back from Arizona, he just took it upon himself and got it done himself.
Well, he had vision, he had commitment, he had perseverance. All that equals Bob Yahr. And Bob Yahr equals something that's a gem in our community, Rotary Botanical Gardens.
He is something different. He's a good friend, and I just enjoy meeting him down here every so often and having a cup of coffee. And he's still thinking of all kinds of good ideas. And if it was not for a good old Bob, this place would not be here today.
It certainly wouldn't. So Bob, thank you from the bottom of our hearts and from this community.
Thanks a lot, Bob.